I am outside Gustavino's restaurant where we are getting ready for the 10th, can you imagine that? 10th Annual WASH Gala for FACE Africa. I'm so excited to be a part of this. This year, Ndini is the official media partner, so I'm so excited to have partnered with this organization in support of the work that they're doing to raise money, to raise awareness about the need for clean water, which is a basic human right for everybody. As you know, at the beginning of this year with Ndini, I said I wanted to partner more. I wanted to partner with organizations that are really making a difference and making an impact on the African continent. And so that's exactly why I'm here. As I said, we're the official media partner, so we're going to bring you all the coverage of everything that's happening. They're just getting set up inside. It is going to be phenomenal. So keep watching.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode. You'll notice that it's a little bit different than what I normally share. You see, earlier this year, I was so thrilled to announce that Ndini had been selected by FACE Africa as the official media partner for their 10th WASH Gala, which was held in New York. Now, if you don't know who FACE Africa is, I highly encourage you to check them out. It's an organization that was started in 2008 by the incredible Saran Kaba-Jones. Saran and her family were forced to flee their home country of Liberia in the early 80s due to the civil war that devastated the country. In 2008, she went back to Liberia for the first time, and Saran was inspired to start Fund a Child's Education, which we now know as FACE Africa. Over the years, as the organization grew, Saran realized that while education was a huge priority, what was even more urgent was the need for children and their communities to have access to clean water. And so 10 years ago, the first fundraising gala was held to raise money for water, sanitation, and hygiene programs, which is why it's called the WASH Gala. This year's gala was a milestone gala, this being its 10th year. It was an absolutely phenomenal evening that raised a significant amount of money for WASH programs across Africa. It was also an opportunity to recognize just some of the people who are doing their part to help raise the quality and standard of life across Africa. South African actress, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, Nomzamo Mbatha, was honored as a rising star. Nomzamo is passionately using her voice and her platforms to advocate for refugees, as well as for education and business opportunities for young people. Not only was Nomzamo honored by the FACE Africa organization, she was also honored by the City of New York for her advocacy work. In this episode, we're sharing the powerful words that Nomzamo spoke in her acceptance speech.
Thank you so much to the FACE Africa Committee. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sanbonani, Sanbonani. If you are from the African continent, I expect to hear a ululation. And that's how you know that you are home. Maybe it is because of my grandmother, who was sold off at the tender age of 16 to a man she never knew and had to give birth to a daughter at the age of 17. And then at the age of 20 decided that this was not the life that she had signed up for, and so she fled her state and went into another state. And in going to another state became immediately what we call each other as Africans, a word that I absolutely despise, immediately became a foreigner. Maybe it was because of the upbringing that I had, where I had to fight for the education that I genuinely wanted. As cheap as $70 a year, I worked my ass off. Maybe it was the 4 years that I spent at UCT from a bursary that I was given that was taken away after 12 months because I suffered from something called anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic disorder. And then decided that just because I came from poverty, that was not where I was going to be buried. My story had a different ending. Or perhaps you consider the woman who was then catapulted from failure into becoming a little starlet in a little country called South Africa, all the way down south. And she decided, just because that I was a failure and I decided that my story was going to have a different ending, in 2 years, found her baby sister who had suffered from depression and anxiety in the garden of her home, who had taken her life behind a tree. Maybe those tragedies decided that my ending would be different. But then it was beyond that. It was saying beyond me, because there's not one of me. There's so many of our displaced brothers and sisters, and it is so easy for us to play the cousin that did better, who had the same struggles and had the same downfalls. And we say, yeah, well, you can also do better for yourself. But the wars and the crimes are different. And so let us not be the cousins and the siblings that did better. Let us be the cousins and the sisters of each other that want to do better for each other. So this room is not only a celebration of our blackness. This room is not only a cross-pollination of the diaspora, because that's what's happening right now. This is a cross-pollination. It is not just about that. This room is full of advocacy. People who want to do better for our continent, and not say that the Europeans did better for us, but we did better for each other. And so the credit and the bragging is so different nowadays. The credit and the bragging is not about what designer wear you have, or how many houses you have across the world. It is how many people are on your payroll. It is how many organizations that we have started to make sure that the blood of our ancestors that were used as fertilization to grow the natural resource. And mind you, the natural resource that we have as the African continent is not just the natural resources as gold or diamonds. It is us, those who are scattered across the world. And so, Saran, I just want to say something. I want to say once again, I said this to you yesterday, that 10 years is no small feat. There are so many of us who start things, and there's so many of us who see the darkness and don't see anything further than 2 years and saying, God, I'm tired. I'm tired of knocking on doors. I'm tired of seeing 5 people at my event, and only one of them is willing to give something. Congratulations on filling a room of people who believe for us, by us, with us. And we will see a progression as an African race, as a human race. The reason why I advocate for refugees is because it's that topic that nobody wants to talk about, because there's so many of them. It's not 1 in 100,000 refugees, ladies and gentlemen. It is not 1 in 6 million refugees, ladies and gentlemen. It is 1 refugee 6 million times. Thank you.